Hi, I recently did a photography workshop to illustrate some of the finer points of portraiture and photo editing. That exists in another YouTube video I did, but one of the points I forgot to cover was how to deal with sweat and detail. It turned out this was a very warm day, and our poor model was just sweating profusely. Unfortunately, I was in teaching mode, talking about posing and lighting. And while I took a few pictures myself, I didn't really get in close and do any pixel peeping to, double check my images before I got home. And I noticed these only afterwards. And some of the students, of course, got the same details and were wondering how to best deal with it. So I covered a couple of different techniques, and I'll just cover exactly how I'm going to do the sweat edits, as opposed to some of the other things I did with catch lights in the eyes and so on and so forth. I just duplicated the layer here, and of course we could use the healing tool, and that's probably not too bad, and you could just kind of clean away some of the individual pieces of sweat here and there, and you're just trying to get some of the highlights away. Unfortunately, it's taking away some of the detail away from the rest of the skin as well. So if there was nice freckles or something underneath, you might lose some of that. But you can certainly make the picture look more acceptable. And this is not sweat, but that's another little sort of skin thing here. And here we go. Just trying to get rid of some of these. And by getting rid of some of the bigger ones, and then there's a nice big one right here on the brow. If I'd known, I'd given the poor lady some water and a little bit of a towel to just dab herself down. So this is not too bad an approach, and there's a little bit here and there. You can go through it a little bit more, but I can just show you kind of the before and after, and it certainly makes a big difference. And let me just go back up here, and here's some before and after as well. So that's one approach that certainly works. I also covered the whole concept of frequency separation. So let me just highlight what we can do with that. And let me just go to 16-bit frequency separation, which I got from PiXimperfect. And I really recommend that YouTube channel. And I'll just do this and accept the default. And away we go. There we go. So here are my various layers. I actually have upgraded this particular macro, so I have a dodge and burn layer that I've added, and I also have an extra low frequency copy which has been blacked out so that I can restore some of the original color if I happen to overextend it. But the high frequency or the texture layer is really what I want to go. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to take the patch tool, and I'm going to pull this area over here, and I'm going to say use this texture. So now some of that texture has been moved over here, and some of this texture is get moved over. So what I'm trying to do is grab texture from other places, and rather than eliminating the texture, I'm just replacing the texture of sweat with texture from another place. And the underlying color is staying pretty much intact as well, because I'm only affecting the texture layer, I'm not affecting the color. And there's some sort of highlights there, whoops. And there we go. And if I'm not careful, I can copy some of the freckles from one area to another, but that might have been too much. There you go. You got to be careful when you're using this to not actually start to replicate texture in such a way that it looks like there's a pattern. The human eye is actually very good at finding patterns. And there we go. So there's the sweat pretty much gone from here. There's another small little thing there. And here we have on and off, and again on and off, and there's another few little ones there, and a few there. And now if I just collapse this, here is the, oh, here's another little one. Oops, I better go back to my texture layer here just to be fair. Some of the other texture things that I corrected as I went along. You can spend a lot of time on this if you want, but I'm trying to do this fairly quickly. Okay, so here's my collapsed amount. So there's the original, there's the frequency separation, And here's the quick clone snap tool. So you get slightly different results, and of course, you know, the effort you put in is a reflection of how well it'll look. But I tend to like the frequency separation since I'm often doing that anyways. It lets me tackle a whole bunch of other things. So for instance, with frequency separation, I may turn around and just kind of just get rid of this little stray hair. And since I'm doing that anyways, here's another little bit of stray hair here, which I may or may not want to get rid of. And another little bit there, and so on. So I'm often using frequency separation for a lot of other reasons. And if I want to correct color, I can come down here and say, hey, I want to just shift some of this color into there. So I'll just come over here, use my, oops, wrong one. Use the mixer brush and sort of shift some color just to lighten this area up. So I'm just shifting some color. I'm smearing some color from one place to another. So you start to see the difference. And if I go too far and I happen to smear some of it into her eye, I'll just do that on purpose here. And I smeared that. I can actually come over here, go to my brush, and say, hey, reveal some of the original color. And I'll just kind of just do that. And you see I can bring back the original color, or if I wanted to reduce the amount of coloration that I have here, I can actually start painting in this area over here, but of course I don't want to do that, so Control Z and undo it. So there's kind of a quickie way of dealing with some of the sweat. I'm sure she would have been much happier if I gave her the water and the towel than doing it in Photoshop. Thank you for your time.